You know, we've all admired them. Those people who can take really deep, complex ideas and just explain them in a way that's not just clear, but actually exciting. It feels like this superpower they were just born with. But what if I told you that being articulate isn't some inherent trait? It's a skill. And just like any other skill, it can be learned, practiced, and yeah, mastered by anyone, including you. Haven't we all been there? I mean, you have this perfectly clear, brilliant idea just buzzing around in your head. But the second you try to say it out loud, the words just crumble. It feels like you're trying to describe a vivid color to someone who can only see in black and white. It is so frustrating, and honestly, it can make you doubt how smart you actually are.
And look, you were definitely not alone in feeling that way. This quote right here shows that even people who now write and speak to millions once felt like their brains just weren't wired for it. They'd look at articulate people and see pure, raw intelligence, not a practice craft. But that whole perspective, it's about to change.
Okay, so if the problem isn't a lack of intelligence, what is it? We tend to focus on the performance, right? The delivery, the vocabulary, the confidence. But the real issue, the one we have to solve first, happens way before you even open your mouth. And this right here is the crucial point. You just can't pull a clear idea out of a muddy puddle of half-formed thoughts. See, intelligent articulation isn't about finding fancier words. It's about first creating a deep, clear pool of well-developed ideas to draw from. You need to have something solid to articulate in the first place.
So how do we build up that pool of ideas? Well, think of it like a musician creating an album of their greatest hits. It's not about inventing some new mind-blowing thought every single time you speak. It's about developing, refining, and deeply understanding a core set of your most valuable ideas, the ones you keep coming back to over and over again.
And here's the secret. You don't need hundreds of these things. You just need a solid 8 to 10. That's it. These are your foundational concepts, those big ideas you've wrestled with so many times that become a part of how you think. These are your go-to hits that you can connect to almost any conversation or topic.
For instance, the writer of our source material has his own core pillars. He's constantly returning to these themes, refining them, exploring new angles, and building on top of them. These are his greatest hits, the ideas his audience trusts and comes back for. The real work is figuring out what yours are.
Okay, so once you've started to identify your greatest hits, how do you actually structure them so they land with impact? Let's get into the practical tools. We're going to walk through 3 really powerful frameworks, moving from beginner to advanced, that will give your ideas a logical and super persuasive shape.
Let's start with the micro story. Our brains are absolutely wired for stories, and this is maybe the simplest, most powerful structure there is. You might even know it as the PAS framework. Problem, agitate, solve. You start with a pain point your audience really feels, you amplify why it's so bad if it gets ignored, and then boom, you present your idea as the hero, the clear solution. Next up, we've got the pyramid principle, which kind of flips traditional storytelling right on its head. Instead of slowly building up to a conclusion, you start with it. You state your main idea right up front, then you support it with a few key arguments, and finally, you back those arguments up with hard evidence. And this really shows you the difference. Most content tries to build suspense, saving the big reveal for the end. The pyramid principle does the exact opposite. It is an answer-first approach. And what that does is it makes your arguments feel incredibly direct, confident, and persuasive from the very beginning. And now for the advanced technique, cross-domain synthesis. This is where truly unique, game-changing insights are born. You start with a problem, but then, instead of offering a direct solution, you pull in a concept from a completely different field, like, say, using the idea of entropy from physics to explain workplace distraction. This lets you frame a totally unique solution that probably no one else has even considered. So, we have our core ideas, and we have our frameworks. But what do you do when you get stuck trying to fill in the details of an argument? Well, the final piece of this puzzle is to think of your ideas as being made of small, reusable building blocks. I just love this metaphor. It makes the whole process feel so much less intimidating, doesn't it? You're not creating some sculpture from a raw block of marble. You're just snapping together the right Lego pieces. And once you know what the pieces are, you will never stare at a blank page again.
So, what are these Lego pieces? Well, is your idea feeling too abstract? Snap in an example or a personal story. Does your argument need a bit more authority? Add a statistic or a powerful quote. Need to make your audience see the problem in a totally new light? Use a reframe. These are the moves that build a compelling argument piece by piece.
So you see, articulation isn't magic. It's a system. It's about developing your core ideas, structuring them with proven frameworks, and building them out with a toolkit of these rhetorical Legos. You now have the entire system. The only question left is, what's the first great idea you're going to build?